right, it is July 14th, and it is 4 o'clock Eastern, which means it's time for Monster Maverick Show. And I almost forgot to hit record, but I did it, so we won't miss out any on the. Yeah, so my beard is see through. So I got my webcam from my. It was shipped to me from my office. I'd been running off the laptop camera, and what I didn't realize was that when you set up the new camera, it's a whole new lighting situation. You got to redo all the green screen stuff. So I was playing with that earlier today, and it is not quite. It is not quite zeroed in there. Yes, camera. There is a camera stream. A there's a whole thing going on with the video here. You can go to mspwaves.com/watch, and you can view it there. You can go to Vim. You can go to 3Speak live stream, and you can watch the feed. So when I post replays, that's what's posted, on YouTube and wherever else. So that is stuff, and I do go through a lot of stuff on the web, and I copy and paste. I try to make sure that I am copying and pasting, things into the chat. In fact, this week I realized that what I should do is when I paste an image in the chat, I should also keep a copy of that link so that when I put up the replay post, then people can see what all the images are. So I'm going to try to start doing that, starting with this episode, and hopefully that will continue and be helpful for people. So yeah. So Theta will be available next week, we hope. So I don't know what Theta is, but that sounds great. Is that some sort of video platform? I don't know. But we got a few people coming in, stragglers coming in. We got Baus, we got QA, we got Jasic, we got Ed McCursey, we got the Clown, and Scott so far. So people tend to trickle in over the first, however long, 10 minutes or so. So expect to see that list grow. And obviously, if you're watching this on the replay, then none of that matters. We'll just be going forward. So if you hear any little dings from like web ads and things, that's probably my Brave browser, just so you know. I just had one pop up right before the show started. I think they're kind of on a timer, so hopefully we'll skip the whole episode without having any, but if it happens, it happens. I got to make my bat, This is it's important stuff. All right. So that is kind of the intro stuff. Let's go ahead and look at. There were a couple things happened this week. We got some press through Cointelegraph. Aggroed and Yaba, they had their AMA on the Discord channel. We got the game credits stuff going on. We have multi-round tournaments, anytime tournaments in development and testing, collection scores kind of stuff, and of course, obviously, the market checks. So just to give us a little teaser, here is the image, or one of the images that was dropped in the AMA of the new orb replacements. So I don't know what that's going to be, if they're going to call them cubes or dice or what. I had originally thought that the orbs were going to be a category and that they would have different sets within them, because the current set in the orbs is called Winds of Change, and I thought by naming it something, that meant there would be other things in that orb list in the future, like orbs of another collection. But I guess that's not happening. So we'll see how that all develops. But there's going to be a new mini set basically, and Yaba was talking on the AMA about how creating new cards is a lot of work, and no doubt it is. But, that's kind of the name of the game. It's a collectible trading card game. So rolling out new sets, new cards, that's the job, man. So Yeah, that was kind of interesting. Uh, I think Nate Aguila, I think it was him who posted another image of like their merchant, which I'm guessing is going to be on the buy screen. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, it was Nate Aguila. And let me switch my scene here so you all can see what I'm seeing. And that is this guy. So he's a little octopus tentacle monster who's selling you dice or cubes or whatever they're going to be called. And so I'm guessing when you go to the shop, instead of this screen, instead of this person, you're going to have Octopus Man. So we will see how that goes. Um, I don't think they gave us an ETA on when that's going to drop, but I imagine it'll be relatively soon. Orbs have been out of print now for a week or two, and prices are starting to shift. If we go over to Peak Monsters, we can go to the market, look at the promos, regulars, and then look at everything except dragons. And you can see that prices are holding up, and this is with the overall pressure on the market that we've been experiencing, obviously over the last little while. So that's the Halfling Alchemist isn't in there, but all the rest of these were in the orbs. Yeah, I've been saying it for a while that these are great cards. So if you don't have your orbs, you should get some. Because some of them I think are absolutely essential just for gameplay. And I'm sure Jessic has more sophisticated modeling than I have, but guys like the Armor Smith, Silver Shield Bard, Electric Eels, Mermaid Healer, um, Corrupted Pegasus, I would classify all those as required if you want a top level deck. But and some of the other ones are great too. So like I love using Dwarven Wizard. He's got stun, he's got snipe, and it's magic. Um, Minotaur Warlord is great in some situations. Lord of Fire is great. So, but those are I think would be under the nice to have cards. But about half of them are I think required for any kind of top level play. But we'll see. Um, another when Yaba was talking about the uh, Rod says he maxed out his Lord of Fire. It's a bit disappointing. I like it a lot. It's got the silence and the shatter. So if you're going against a life team, Lord of Fire is great because it has it counteracts a Defender of Truth, and then it shatters all their shields. So I'm a fan. And it's only 3 mana. I mean, come on. So uh, one of the things Yaba was talking about when he was talking about making new cards was that they want to make sure that they are not like creating a duplicate card, even with different name and different artwork. So it's interesting to see what new abilities they come up with and what the and what the gameplay meta will turn into with the new cards. So, I don't think we'll ever see the exact same combinations of mana and abilities and all that kind of stuff for any future cards. But I do think we will see things that, can mix and match to create kind of the same total effect. So, still at this point in the game, those ones I mentioned, Electric Eels, Mermaid Healer, Corrupted Pegasus, Armor Smith, Silver Shield Bard, those are all, as far as I'm concerned, required for good decks. And the let's if we just look at the commons, obviously we got Armor Smith, and that is taking top place, top billing uh, in the pricing. If we look at the rares, they're all pretty well in line, about 5 cents a piece. And if we compare that to other rares, well, let's look at the out of print ones. Let's look at the alphas and the betas. That's doing okay. In the lower tier, I guess. But let's take out alphas. Let's just look at compared to betas. They're about middle ranged in terms of price. If we look at the epics, then Let's see, Mermaid Healer still pretty low, 32 cents. We got who else do we have? Dwarven Wizards, 34 cents. So yeah, middle of the pack. Neglecting the summoners. And on the legendaries, Lord of Fire does not have a whole lot of love at 83 cents. Minotaur Warlords kind of average, and Corrupted Pegasus is towards the top. And again, we have to neglect the summoners on that. So, yeah, I mean, they're good to pick up. And we in Deck 101, we've been having our Orbs promo. You send in a card, that's a ticket in the raffle. Somebody's been winning Orbs every day. Last 3 days has been Deck Market, just because he's been sending a ton of cards. He had like 80% of the tickets over the last 3 days, which was ridiculous. But is what it is. We do a random number pick, and he happened to win 3 times in a row. So a little bit crazy, but that's what happens when you have most of the tickets. So that's going to continue. That promo is going to continue through the end of the season, which is 1 day, 11 hours, 47 minutes. So, if you have those cards to burn, we'll probably continue it like 1 day after the season, just to, when you get your season rewards and you want to burn them, just send them to Deck 101. You'll get a little bit extra deck, and you will also be, able to win an orb, and why not? I'm still waiting for somebody to pull a gold foil legendary, but hasn't happened yet. So we'll see how that goes. And then you can send it right back to Deck 101, if you don't want to, if you don't have like a max level or an ability to max out the card. So speaking of deck, let's go ahead and take a look at the market here. So let's do Deck USD, both. This is Gerber's bot. When it actually comes up, there we go. So you can see we are down. When I looked earlier, we were right at 40 cents. Let's get a live quote. And we got, that is at, that's B, I want B. We're at 43 cents per 1,000. So well under par. We had a little bit of a bounce today. It's been a little bit harder to track just because Hive's been bouncing a little bit, and I wish, on the many things I wish to make the world better. I think, being able to dynamically price things on Hive Engine in the currency that you want would be really helpful. Where you could just have it display in U.S. dollars if that's what your unit of account is in economics terms. But they don't listen to me, so so I guess that's not happening. But I just wish that would be easy, because the current buy sell boxes are just too difficult to use, because I shouldn't have to break out a separate calculator just to fill an order. If I have like 100 Hive, swapped at Hive, I shouldn't need to calculate how much deck that will buy at a given price. So, but again, the front end work on Hive Engine is not stellar. Leo Dex does look better, but it has pretty much the same functionality. And also, so that's the link for Leo Dex if you haven't ever been there. So let's log in, sure. So yeah, I actually had somebody DM me earlier and wanted to talk about dark energy crystals in the context of the land sale. So also on the AMA that Aggro Yabba had, they talked a little bit about the land sale, and basically they were confirming their timeline of pre-sale is going to be, probably Q3, which means it'll probably be beginning of Q4, and the actual expansion of the game will be in 2021, hopefully first half of 2021. So, and then in the past, on the prior AMA, that they said that they are targeting a price, per unit of land of like $5. So, what they have not discussed is whether or not those land parcels are limited or not. So, I don't know if they're just going to mint a huge number and then sell those as NFTs, or if there's going to be an unlimited number. Each one's, I think they're going to do it as an NFT, um, and then they just buy however many you want. So if it's limited, that will give more incentive to develop a secondary market, and prices would inflate over time as the user base grows. So don't know. We'll have to wait and see what they say for further clarification of that. How that affects dark energy crystal prices is that the it's an additional sink and it's an additional demand. So those two factors that would support the dark energy crystal price. So I am, the person who DM'd me says like, oh, it's going to go to 80 instead of where it's at 43 right now, and I don't know if that's true. Maybe, there's been a lot of buying at this low end. So I picked up 2 million. I saw somebody else picked up 8 million. A couple other people, many people have bought in the millions of dark energy crystals, and what and that I mean that hasn't had a significant impact on the market. So yes, part of that has been just the dumping by J69, which will continue, I think, for quite a while. But it hasn't made a significant change. So I don't know if the demand for land is going to change that situation. Maybe it will, but I'll call it hesitantly optimistic in terms of market value of deck, increasing as a result of the land presale. Um, Another thing that we don't know about the land presale is how much land you need, because we know that it's going to be land, and then you're going to have buildings on the land somehow or other, and that's going to produce items and spells, which can then be used in battles. So what we don't know is like how many of those that you need to outfit your team, because you can have 7 cards in a team. So if the if you only need 7 pieces of land to produce 7 items or spells, then that's a demand, but it's a limited one. If you need continually more to produce continually more, because for whatever mechanic reason they come up with, then that would be an additional demand. So I think those questions need to be answered, and hopefully I'll remember them to ask Agrod on the next AMA, which he's doing. What did he say, monthly or weekly? I don't even remember. But anyway, he's doing them regularly. I think he said monthly. So hopefully we'll get some of those questions answered. And it might just be that they don't know yet because it's still in development. So the other thing in development is, 2 things. We got the anytime tournaments and we got the collection scores. So Cryptomancer was talking about anytime tournaments, and they are available for testing for Mavericks, and that's the blog post where they talked a bit about that. So over the past couple days, some Mavericks have been testing it out, where there's now going to be a 2-round, at least under the current design, a 2-round anytime tournament. So tournament round 1 plays, people end up wherever they end up, and then the tournament creator can select when they create the tournament whether it's going to be like 10%, 20%, 30%, up to 50% of the top winners in round 1 will advance to round 2 and then battle again. So there are a couple issues with this. I think it's a great incremental improvement. But at the same time, I think the way they have designed it so that your total record is going to be, assuming you go to round 2, your total record is going to be round 1 results plus round 2 results. And I think that's going to be a huge mistake. Because part of the issue that requires having round 2 is that participation and seeding in round 1 is so random. So if you have a tournament and there's 300 players, there's going to be a lot of people who end up, whatever and 0, 12 and 0, whatever it is. And some of those are because they beat 12 people, and some of those are because they beat 6 people and 6 didn't show up. Muted? I don't think so. I think everybody else can hear me, and levels are going on my OBS, so I'm gonna say it's on your end, unless Ron tells me otherwise. Um, so okay, Red Pill One says we can hear you. Okay, sounds fine. So so if you have somebody who went 6-6, or 6-0 really, and then had no shows or faulty bots or whatever it is as the last six opponents, and someone who went 12-0 against real players, those are very different results, right? So by shifting those to round two and keeping those scores, then you're basically saying, well, the first round results mattered, and I don't think that's the right approach. I would be much better for the records to reset, and yes, you could still have potential ties in round two, and I think that's fine as long as the the people playing have passed that first qualification. So to me, it's like a qualifier round and then a tournament, or a qualifier round and a finals round, and only the finals round results should count. Um, just adding the one to the other. I've never heard of a tournament that does that. Maybe you know, obviously I don't know every single thing about tournaments, but it seems very very odd to me, and I think people are going to have problems with it, basically. So we will see how that all shakes out, but that's where it stands currently. So, like I said, we'll see. Like I said, I think it's a great incremental improvement. I just think that there could be more improvements. They also said that the max limit will be 2 rounds, so there's not going to be any 3, 4, or 5 rounds, and they don't want it to drag on forever. And I think that's okay. Every additional round is an additional commitment on the player's part, so that is going to decrease participation as you go on. So, like, it wouldn't make sense to have a 7 round thing, because by the end, the number of no shows that you'd get would increase instead of decrease. So, that I think makes a lot of sense. Uh, why don't I make a spreadsheet to show the flaws in their methodology? I mean, I could, but I've been pretty vocal in the Discord, I think, and other people have agreed. Um, yeah, 4 hours to play the last tournament, too long for you. That's why the anytime tournaments are there. So, you just, if it's 15 matches, you just do one after the other, and then you're done in whatever 20, 30 minutes. You don't have to wait for people, because I agree, the sit down tournaments where you're live with other people takes way too long. Obviously, some people play Splinterlands all day, but I'm not one of those people. I got stuff to do. Um, so, I think the anytimes are great. I just wish, we had a little bit better improvements to them. And they're coming. It's just a matter of time and development and all that kind of stuff. Um, and then I believe it was still Cryptomancer who said that collection scores are almost done, at least the initial release. Then, in response to feedback, we changed the design quite a lot, which means it's going to be delayed a bit. Okay. So I guess that means another couple weeks. I don't know what those feedbacks were. I don't know what those changes are, but I am very excited to see the collection scores come out as a qualifier for getting into the different leagues and getting the different league rewards. So I do expect some of those super cheap cards to be snapped up when they needed to, or when people need them to. So I was thinking about this though. I'm not sure how they're going to implement this scoring mechanism, but if it's just based on Dark Energy Crystal value of your deck, then the most cost-effective thing to do is going to be to buy gold cards, because gold cards have 50 times the Dark Energy Crystals as regular cards. Um, so, whatever's cheapest there is going to be, or most cost-effective, let's say, whatever's most cost-effective in gold is going to be the thing to buy. So, like, if we just look right now and just look at whatever is cheapest, I'm sure it's going to be a common something. So right now, the Warrior of Peace Barking Spider by Ceratrops are the cheapest gold cards. And Warrior of Peace is a common, and I believe that's under the Untamed schedule. So it's going to be 500 Dark Energy Crystals. So if you need 1,000 of them, like to get to the next league level, then but you buy two of these and you're good. So again, that's going to depend on the implementation details, but that's my impression that it's going to be based on at least somewhat on the Dark Energy Crystal value of your deck. So if you're looking to front run that, you might take a look at some of these cheap gold cards. So that is that's the theory anyway. Obviously, once we know the mechanics of how the collection score is calculated, then we'll have a better idea of what cards are going to respond positively to that. I think whatever it's going to be the cheapest ones, basically. So that's my theory. Fortunately, I have a bunch of gold cards, so I've been forming teams for the deck 404, player accounts, and so just as an example, and I've been keeping track of the the Dark Energy Crystal value of each deck. So a silver level deck that has 4 out of 5 splinters has been averaging, somewhere in the 40, 50, 60,000 Dark Energy Crystals, in terms of burn value. So but when I use gold cards, that goes up to 200 to 300,000 Dark Energy Crystal deck value. Um, so the if that's the weighting factor, then gold decks are going to be able to go way beyond regular decks, and they will be able to still get those higher league rewards. So something to keep in mind. And when they first talked about the collection score, I had commented to Yaba that you know the the way he talked about it led me to the impression that it's just going to be, you just buy some cheap cards to boost up your burn values, and you're good. So, and he said, yeah, that's okay if people, I use the example of the Rusty Android. So like if people buy up a whole bunch of those and use that to qualify for the next round, then fine, because that gives an additional market function to those low price cards. And, I understand that. Any news on the land ideas, Monster Jam? So we talked about that a little bit. So, yes, they are still on their Q3 timeline for the pre-sale and 2021 release. And just to recap real quick, it's going to depend a lot on how that's implemented, whether they're limited or unlimited, and how many each player needs in order to fill out their deck. Also, there's going to be people, if assuming everything's tradable, a secondary market develops. There's going to be people like me who are going to be producing all these different things to sell to players who don't want to go through the whole hassle of investing. Jasic says, collection score based on Dark Energy Crystal is, in my opinion, not the best approach. How you can compare a maxed out rare beta summoner, 7245 deck, to BCX Gold Imp Bowman, 15,300 deck. Better something like BCX times rarity, ignoring addition of foil. Yeah, I think that has a lot of merit to it. What I really wanted was like a strength of deck, not Dark Energy Crystal, but strength of portfolio. And that's a little bit hard to quantify because some of that is subjective. But you can look at like win rates and just how complete is your fire splinter or whatever, as factors. So I agree. It's just basing it on Dark Energy Crystal burn value is a little bit overly simplistic. But again, we don't know exactly how it's going to shake out. Hopefully, in the next few weeks we will, and then we can make more informed commentary on it. I think that's fair. And Monster Jam registered for Maverick. Congratulations! He hit the 500 packs. That's always a fun to have more people there. And would be nice to see in the client how many packs you've bought in total for Maverick, not how many Untamed you have bought. Yeah, that would be nice, but I don't think that's a critical thing. But throw it in the product suggestions, and maybe they'll take a look at it. Actually, the Maverick channel is considered a sort of front of the line product suggestion thing. Aggro spends a fair amount of time paying attention to what is said there. So, you know, talk about it there. We'll see if you get any response. He's got 688 packs. That's a great start. Um, you know, it's like those potato chips, but you can't have just one kind of thing. It just builds and builds, and eventually you end up with however much I have. Let's take a quick look at my collection value. I like to take this as a barometer since I have a pretty wide set of cards. Right now we're at 54, which is actually up slightly from last week. I think it was at 52 last week. That is, in the face of the dumping, the wumping that is going on. So that's kind of encouraging. So J69 is still selling all his stuff, and people are absorbing it, which is great. Prices have dropped, but that's to be expected. Once they're gone, then I think we're off to the races. So Monster Jam has a badass deck, but no idea what it's worth. So let's see. What is your username in Splinterlands? Because we can look it up. And while he's getting that together, there was an interesting little thing that Aggro dropped. Is a link to Cointelegraph and non-fungible tokens. So he's got this article, and if you scroll to the bottom, you will see that it is by oh, where did it go? Infinite Scroll got me. Okay, it's by Ali Madhavji and Jesse Reich. So, obviously, I have no idea who Ali is, or Ali, I'm not sure which. But some, blockchain VC guy. And, of course, Jesse Reich is our own Aggro. So, he's CEO of Splinterland. So, it's nice to get some other press out there. They're talking about NFTs. This is sort of like a person who's heard of Bitcoin but has never heard of NFTs kind of intro article. But, it's just good to have more press out there, basically. And Monster Jam says, I read that article and it was enlightening. Even thought someone has a sneaker fetish. I don't know. I don't know about that. But, Nike is starting to do NFTs, which is interesting. We have Topps getting into the NFT space. So, it is a growing market. And obviously, the Splinterlands is built as like an NFT kind of app, and, and we've had a couple others. D-City is probably the most successful one. That is also on Hive. And, people are dropping way, I don't know about too much, but a lot of money into D-City. And I'm just kind of middle ranks. And Rafalski is working on an account history or account valuation tool to go along with Hive on, what is it called? I can never remember. HiveData.space? Yeah, HiveData.space. So there is a D-City thing here, but it doesn't really work. So he's working on making that happen. But, while we're here, let's just check out ranked games. So we got battles. In the past 30 days, we've averaged just about 100,000 a day, which is amazing. Users. We got a nice little upward tick. And, another thing Aggro mentioned on the on the AMA was that he had did he say 6,000 signups or something like that on their Facebook campaign? Anyway, it was some big number, which was or 4,500 new users added, something like that. I don't remember exactly, but that's huge numbers. Obviously most of those are free, and that's to be expected. In online apps, if you have a freemium kind of model, the the free is going to be like 98%, and the premium is going to be 1 or 2%. So that's normal, but that's okay. Oh, there we go. There's a Brave ad. So I mean, I think that's fantastic. So the let's say we have a 2% conversion from free to premium, and you got 4,500 if that's the number. So we got 4,500 times 0.02. That's what, 90? Yeah, 90 new paying players, let's say. And just for the sake of argument, if it was you know, I think I want to say like $1.50 for his cost of acquisition. So let's say 4,500 times $1.50 divided by 90. So that comes out to $75 per premium user acquisition, which is okay, I think, because that's 38 packs. I think the average premium user is going to be buying way more than 38 packs. So at that point, that becomes, assuming those numbers are right, and I'm just kind of picking those somewhat arbitrarily, but they are justifiable, I think, in terms of averages in the industry. If those are the numbers, then that becomes a pretty good, almost self-liquidating offer, because that premium user is on average going to buy way more than 38 packs. So, self-liquidating offers where the thing that you're selling pays for all the marketing expense to get people to that point. And, that's just the intro, because, once you're in the system, once you're in Splinterlands, you're in the game ecosystem, then, the there's more. They're going to buy more, basically. It's because people are buying and selling 15, 20 grand worth of stuff every single day, of the various different types, whether it be cards or tokens or dark energy crystals or whatever. So that's a good deal. And another thing, I believe it was on Aggrod's MSP Wave show, we were talking about Second Life and how they're reaching out to them and possibly creating some kind of partnership there, which is super interesting. Apparently, there's a whole fiat marketplace with Linden dollars, which I've heard of Second Life, but I've never played it or anything, so I don't know how that all works. But it could be a potential on ramp and off ramp into the crypto Splinterlands economy, which would be super interesting. And in some dream future, we might have Splinterlands inside of Second Life as like your little village or whatever. But interesting stuff is afoot. Another partnership that they announced last week was the game credits. Now this I have been trying to figure out, and I've been unsuccessful. So if any of you guys know how game credits works, I read their site and it didn't really make any sense to me, which is over here. So Baus is staking. So tell us, Baus, what exactly does that involve? So you have your game tokens on MetaMask, and then you stake them, and then what does that get you? So buy game credits, okay. And then you stake them. I understand that. Let's go to, I went to the home page. Start or learn more. Then I got more game credits for staking. Okay, but so on the website they talk about you could be eligible for like winnings of like NFTs and things. Says that I could get in-game items too. Yeah, I read that, but I don't know. Is that just the game developers giving away stuff, or is there some sort of mechanic internal to the game to create that? I don't know. So I'm a bit confused there. Up to Splinterland devs. Okay, so it could just be like a reward for people who stake, and that's okay. That's a little bit uh, underwhelming as far as use goes, but sure, why not? They get 50% of the stake. Uh, Scaredy Cat says, "How is Neil a Splinterlands master while being a stock trading and research master? Impressive." Well, I appreciate that. So that's Scaredy Cat. His show's up next, by the way. Does Scaredy Cat Investor Show, where they goes over like crypto charts and stock things and all kinds of great stuff. So if I get one, if Splinterlands gets one, interesting. Okay. So yeah, I'm always happy to see new partnerships. This one seems a little, just underwhelming to me at the moment, but maybe that's just because I don't understand it. And spreadsheets. It's all about spreadsheets. Okay, so it supports the game developers. Okay, great. Okay, so we did take a quick look at dark energy crystals, the market there. Let's take a look at the pack sales. See where we are with that. So first, let's go to cards. No, sales volume. What's the one I'm looking for? You changed the site around, and now I can't find anything. Purchases. There we go. Okay, so obviously orbs sold out at the end of June. That one big day. I'll make a PowerPoint about Neil's spreadsheets. You should. You'd be a better person for it. All right, so orbs are done, and then we'll get dice or whatever it is. So let's go to booster packs. Oh, we had a nice big sale the other day. Oh, that's right. Agard was in the Discord. Pretty happy about that. At 5,700 or 6,000, something like that. Of pack sales on that was the 11th, 7-Eleven. So that's always fun. I think a lot of that. I think probably like a third to a half of that was Gerber, but I'm not sure. But is I think I got him hooked accidentally. That we'll see. We started putting together Untamed teams. That's all good. So so yeah, we are how far into? We are 50,000 into the next airdrop. So that's always fun. So at the rate we're going, what do we got? The rate we're going, we're doing 1,500 a day. So that means 50,000 divided by 1,500, what, 30 days? Something like that? Let's do 100,000 minus 5,371 divided by 1,501. Get a sub number. And that number is 33. So at that pace, 33 more days till we hit the next airdrop. I think it's going to be the Magic Summoner, or sorry, not the Magic Summoner. I think it's going to be the Water Summoner, which was my little baby. I hope so, because that'll be fun. Fun for me. We'll see what the team did with it. And, the more I think about it, the more I think it's not going to be a magic buff, which is what I had put in, because all the other 7-mana legendary summoners have been something else. Like Yodin Zaku had, ranged buff, and, in the fire team, as opposed to the melee buff. And, Chauncey or Chancius was kind of in the thematic wheelhouse of the other life summoners, but it was still different. You had Resurrect, you had Repair, and all that, but no actual extra shields. So there's Gerber. I think a smiley face means yes. a lot of that spike was probably Gerber. He didn't, I don't know that for sure, but I'm just speculating. We'll see. So yeah, I mean, A month, I'm okay with a month. It'll, standard mechanics apply. As the countdown goes down, people start to buy a lot more. Zaku actually usually buys like the last like 7,000 packs um, for Monster Market, and then they go down real quick. So if it's 33 days of supply, we'll probably see something more like 20. And so let's see, today is the 14th, so 3 weeks from today. So let's call it first week of August is going to be my prediction for when we get our next airdrop. And, if you want to get in on that airdrop, you got to buy the packs and have that chance at the potential bonus. So the really cool thing about the last airdrop was the guarantee. If you had 400 packs, you were going to get at least one. I think they will continue that. I think the 400 number will shift with the different probabilities depending on, how many cards are available. So it'll probably be like 425, something like that. I do have a spreadsheet on that somewhere. Where did I put that spreadsheet? Yeah, so it was one out of. Yeah, well, this is not up to date, but the. Of course I do. I do. So, the, the more cards are out there, the more types of cards are out there, the lower the chance of any one card that you receive. So your chance of getting that particular legendary summoner are lower. So you have to buy more packs to cover that difference in probability. So my guess would be that the next guarantee will be 425 to qualify for or to guarantee your spot for a legendary summoner airdrop. But if let's for the sake of argument, let's say it is 425, that doesn't mean 850 you get two. So the optimal thing to do, if you can swing it, is to actually buy 425 on a bunch of different accounts, and then you maximize your guarantees that way. So but if you have a lot, like I've got like 3,000 packs eligible for the airdrops. This says 351 here because I'm in my player account, but in my holding account I've got 2,700. So the math pretty much works out. So for Zaku and for Mimosa, I had to buy two or three of each one to max out my summoner, and but yeah, that was it. It wasn't very expensive. So, but that means having spent the money ago, before all this happened. So, yeah, I did want to talk for a second about burn values. So a lot of people don't seem to understand how this works. So let me see if I can actually find the right tab. So in US dollars, these are your burn values based on today's 43 cent per thousand market price. So that little spreadsheet there, which of course, as Ron's about to say, of course I have a spreadsheet for that. So I realized, many years ago that with today's computer technology, there's no reason to ever delete anything. Storage is cheap, and you can just keep it. But yeah, what this is saying is basically, the burn value of an untamed common, because it's 10 Dark Energy crystals, is 0.43 cents. So when you're looking to buy or sell cards, then you want to keep that in mind. So that 125% burn value is there because that's kind of the break even or at least for me, that's kind of the break even on the Deck 101 burning process, where if it's under 125%, between the waiting and the hassle of listing cards and everything, I just and then the market fees that you pay, you're pretty much better. You're pretty much equivalent to just burning it. So might as well just set them to Deck 101. Different people have a different cutoff there, but for me it's 125%. So if you're looking at cards that are you know has burning cards declined, we can check. I think Rafalski has that. Let's see, potions purchased, cards, delegates, Combines burned. Here we go. So I mean, it's gone down a little bit, but the new rewards cards are not being burned because the market values on those are holding up pretty well. And that was one thing I was hoping to get to. I don't know if we will or not. Um, but yeah, so just when you're listing cards, just keep this in mind with the burn values because some people have been making errors even 2 years in that they're listing under burn value, which is a little bit nuts. Since the bids don't exist, at least not yet, on peak monsters, then it's harder to see as a seller. It's harder to see what those burn values are because when there are bids, or at least when there were under the old Steam system, then people had bids in for everything at the burn rates and maybe slightly above. So people were able to determine burn values that way, and that worked pretty well actually. But at least for the moment, bids don't exist, so you don't have that number available to you. So just something to think about. And when you're buying cards, it's also good to have an idea of how much you're buying in relation to the burn values. So if we look at the rewards cards, and if we put them in, I'm in the wrong screen here. If we look at the rewards cards, and let's just say, the commons, let's go rare. And we put them in order of card ID, so we can see the later ones. So we can see that the recent rewards cards are doing okay. They're at about, averaging 10 cents. Phineas Rage is up at 21 cents, 22 cents, and Captain's Ghost is high at 18 cents. So, how does that, what's your projection for that? So, for the burn value of an untamed, which these are all on untamed burning schedules, of an untamed rare is 1.7 cents. So, just, if you're buying a Kelp Initiate at 10 cents, then you're paying, whatever it is, six times higher than burn value. And that's okay as long as you realize what you're doing, because the way the rewards cards tend to work is that they come out, and if they're good cards and they're in demand, which these ones have been, they did a really good job with this last set, then the price will be high, and then as the print goes on, the price decreases on a per BCX level, and then they go out of print and it goes back up. So that optimum time to buy is later on in that cycle, and you can keep an eye on that. I like Kyokiz's rewards cards list, and you can see that so like Kelp Initiate has only been 5% printed. So the result of that is that supply is a little bit limited, but it's going to continually become more available. So you just got to keep these things in mind. So like right now, I personally do not have max level rewards cards for this last batch because they haven't hit that point where I consider it cheap enough to buy, and I'm okay with waiting. So let me borrow your decks and get to Champ 1 this season. Okay. I'll rent you some cards if you want. And Monster Jam says deck has slumped in the market, so it is dirt cheap to buy at the moment. Baron Rothschild said, "When there's blood in the street, buy." Yes, and I agree. And I've bought about 2 million. So, I do put my money where my mouth is. And then I'm also running a bunch of teams on a split basis, like the old Herons Unlimited, which will be open to players at some point. I really do want the collection score system to be implemented first. So the development on our part is pretty well done. We've ironed out a whole bunch of bugs with the splitting and everything working, but now we're just waiting on Splinterlands to get that done. So I am holding on to my Dark Energy Crystals primarily for the land pre-sale, and they Yaba and Agra talked about a $5 price point. I don't know if that's going to be at par value or not. So if it'll be 5,000 Dark Energy crystals or it'll be $5 in whatever that amounts to in Dark Energy crystals, I don't know that. But any news on guilds? They are going to be having more guild buildings, and there's going to be guild versus guild wars at some point. That's probably a couple months away. At least that was the status as of the last week when Yeba and Agrid had their AMA. So you should check those out. I usually turn on the audio and then I'm working or doing something else. So that is. But there's a lot of great info, and sometimes I'll have questions lined up. I don't know. We'll see. I just recommend using those to keep up to date. So. The other great thing about the Peak Monsters market, though, is that you can, if you sort by price, then you can see within a rarity class how well things are doing. So right now, again, looking at the rare levels, so Octopiter, Boogeyman are on the cheapest end. Gremlin Blaster is very cheap. That means that they are not they are not much loved by the community. In fact, these guys are pretty much hanging out at their burn values. On the other hand, if we go up, we see at the high end, we've got Phineas Rage, Captain's Ghost, Silver Sheet Sheriff, Kelp Initiate, Grim Reaper, Gloridax Soldier. So those are all the new rewards cards, and they're high demand compared to supplies, leading to higher prices. It's Econ 101. But just keep in mind, if you're in the market, if you're like me and you want to have one of everything at least, then it's easier just to wait. And in a month or two or three, then they'll be cheap enough to buy. Because we know that, so like Boogeyman's already 80% printed and is one of the cheapest, or actually is the cheapest of the rare rewards cards. So clearly the demand is not there to meet the supply and has fallen to the burn value. So like things like the Sandworm, which is a common card, has been just through the roof in terms of demand. And in fact, Sandworm is right now the most expensive common reward card by a good margin. Can we have a Furious Justin card? That's good. So, Sandworm is, 5 times the next closest at Wood Nymph, and Wood Nymph is a great card. You need that for the Earth team. So, I only have a couple Sandworms that I've just gotten in the chests, and then I'll buy them when they get more printed and when the price drops. So, I don't think at this point there's enough players to keep the price high. I don't make card decisions, Monster Jam. I'm nothing to do with the official team. I'm just an enthusiast. So, oh crap, it's 4:59. Okay, so that actually wraps it up. So, bottom line, if you're in the market for rewards cards, for the new ones, wait, and prices will get cheaper. And next up is going to be Scaredy Cat Investor Show, and he'll talk all things crypto and stocks and stuff, and he'll look at charts, whatever chart you want him to. He'll take a look at it and give you his opinion. So that's it for this week. We'll see you next time.